Hello and welcome back to another edition of the only live Monday through Friday lacrosse talk show on the planet. You are watching Daily Dive. It is Tuesday, February the 25th, 2025. I am your host, Michael Carvelis in Guyton, Georgia. We are live on 12 Ounce Sports via YouTube, Roku, and Fire TV. Subscribe to the 12 Ounce Sports channel on YouTube for other great shows and live sports. On today's awesome show, a storm is coming. Toronto Rock GM/owner Jamie Dalliday is trading away Nick Rose and possibly way more. I'm going to react to it. I'm going to talk about where Brad Cree and Mitch DeSnew could or should go. We'll talk to a special guest today, Pete Dalliday, the Thunderbirds play-by-play broadcaster. Talk to him about all things Halifax, Peterborough, and of course, the Nick Rose trade. And we'll get into Fresh Fits, the best dressed NLL players in week number 13. We want to first let you know this show is presented by tickets.12ouncesports.com. That's tickets.numbers12lettersozsports.com. Get your NLL tickets for less by going to that website, which also includes every sport, and including the PLL, and all your favorite music artist concerts, not to mention Broadway and theater. Tickets.12ouncesports.com. Well, folks, a storm is coming in Toronto. The Toronto Rock have traded away. Okay, cool. The Halifax. Okay, Laura, I'll get to that in a minute. The Toronto Rock have traded Nick Rose to the Calgary Roughnecks, and they got back Goa Abrams and a 2026 first round draft pick. And that is a stacked draft class, as we read on Twitter from Adam Levy. I told you guys that for a few weeks, the Toronto Rock might seriously consider becoming sellers. And this was Jimmy Dalladay's face literally at the Georgia Swarm game, and he had seen enough. Now, I can also report that the Halifax Thunderbirds are the front runners for Brad Cree, which I think is crazy because I'm wondering, what would they give up? Because I'm going to get to Brad Cree and Mitch DeSnew in a second. So as you heard from me, Halifax front runners for Brad Cree. Here's my thing, though, with Nick Rose going to Calgary. I don't think this pushes them over the top. I said that briefly yesterday, but folks, we have to be honest with ourselves. Wasn't Nick Rose already in probably a better situation in Toronto? Is that defense not better than it is in Calgary? It's not a knock on the Toronto Roughnecks, on the Calgary Roughnecks. It's just me calling it like it is. It is cool that Nick Rose is in Calgary. It is cool that they had 10,079 people last game and might have way more the next game, and even 10,000 is a lot of fans. But do I think that this does anything more? I mean, yeah, would Calgary have a better record than 6-5 right now with a Nick Rose? Absolutely. Would they be better than the current Rock? No, obviously injuries play a part in that. What about the San Diego Seahawks? I don't think so. The Bandits? No. The Mammoth? Depending on their offense, Georgia Swarm? I don't know. I'm not pushing the Calgary Roughnecks into the finals because they got Nick Rose. And believe me, that talk is coming. There is going to be quite a few people that are not going to be able to get enough of Nick Rose in Calgary. Now, granted, you've got the diehard Calgary fans that are very vocal on Twitter. I love seeing the Roughnecks fans because they are some of the most passionate fans in the National Lacrosse League. But there's going to be a lot of media people that are going to try to tell you and convince you that Nick Rose is going to push his team over the top. It's not true. I know that it helps that we're going to see even more competition. I love it. It's great for the sports. But again, I'll say it again. Calgary is not contenders. They are better than they were before. They are still not contenders. Like, okay, by contenders, I also mean like, can they beat the top Bandits team? Can they beat the Seals maybe? The Mammoth. I think the Mammoth could give them heck. I think the Seals could give them a fight. Again, Cam McLeod was a major issue. But Nick Rose can only do so much. Again, the roster in Toronto is better than the roster in Calgary. And I know Calgary's trying to win now. I also really think this might possibly speed up the potential of a Christian Del Bianco trade to Vancouver. I don't know if, again, Calgary, it would be nice if they could free Christian Del Bianco. I know that people like to say honor your contracts, but this is the National Lacrosse League. These guys aren't making millions of dollars. It is okay to trade away star players if Vancouver can give you a little bit more than what they probably are currently offering. But I really want to see Calgary get rid of Del Bianco now. You got Nick Rose. You're going to rent him out for a year or so. We know he's going to go back to Toronto. Come on. But, I mean, yeah. Is Calgary one of the teams that needed a goalie like Nick Rose? Yes. Does it make them the contenders? I think it can make other teams? No. No, it does not. As I mentioned earlier, the Halifax Thunderbirds are reportedly in the running, in front runners for Brad Cree. Now, where do I think Dr. Mitch DeSnew, I love calling him Dr. DeSnew, by the way. Where do I think Mitch DeSnew and Brad Cree could or should go? I don't think Halifax needs a Brad Cree. I mean, yeah, it helps. I feel like Philadelphia. I feel like Rochester. Like, come on, man. Those teams got to make a move. I'm also hearing Shane Simpson for Holden Katoni. I guess that would be, was that Las Vegas and Rochester? That'd be crazy. I don't know if that's a thing right now, but I just saw Shane Simpson for Holden Katoni. And I don't think that was just a fan trying to be a commenter right there. So maybe that's a thing. Maybe I'll clip this later and we had it first at 1:08 p.m. Eastern Time. But again, a lot of things are happening right now. Jamie Dowick is obviously tired of it. I still think coaching might be a bigger issue than the goalie play was. And I think Nick Rose is a really awesome goalie. I just don't think he pushes Calgary over the top. And again, I wish that Rochester and Philadelphia would make moves. I think they could have like maybe not a Paul Dawson quite that magnitude of an effect, but I think it would help them out so much. And I don't know if Halifax getting Brad Cree would be as great as you might think. So we'll see. What is you guys' thoughts on the trade? And there was a lot of, oh yeah, automatic contenders. Let's sit back and think about this for a moment, and we'll get back to it. We also going to talk about with Pete Dalliday, which is awesome. So when we come back, we're going to talk to Pete Dalliday, who Halifax Thunderbirds play-by-play. He also Peterborough Lakers alum. We'll talk to him about that and, of course, the Nick Rose stuff and more. You're watching Daily Dive. Don't go anywhere. I know you won't.
Don't go anywhere. Daily Dive will be right back.
Need tickets to that next event? Well, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got them with soccer anywhere in the world. Tickets to any venue, any sport. Want to go to NCAA or NFL football matches? We've got them.
Yeah.
Baseball at every level. Every Power 5 matchup is available. Don't forget, costumes and paint are optional. What's that? You want to go to Broadway? We have those too. Want to jam out? Every concert, every artist. That's right, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got the tickets for less. 12ozsports.com/tickets. That's 12ouncesports.com/tickets.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money, and we're here to help.
And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
America, get back on track with Dust Pods Performance Stabilizer. When applied to roadways, it kills dust and strengthens the integrity of the road. Easily applied by mixing with water, Dust Pods is the future in polymer stabilization. Call 1-833-DUST-PODS or visit dustpods.com today.
Daily Dive is back in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What's going on, everybody? And what's going on, Pete Dalliday? How are you, sir?
Hey, Michael, nice to officially kind of meet you on camera here on screen. And yeah, things are going good. Just doing a little lacrosse here in my little Peterborough Lakers office at the Peterborough Memorial Center. And
Sweet.
yeah, just having a good little Tuesday. How about you?
I'm good. There's a lot of stuff going on in the National Lacrosse League right now, which is not a bad thing.
Yeah, I know you picked a bad day to have me on because I admitted to you that I'm not an NLL insider, but then you got all this
Right.
stuff happening and trades and rumors. I'm maybe not your guy for that, but certainly, yeah, that's a pretty big deal going on today for sure. That's big Tuesday morning news, no question.
Even if you were my news guy, I wouldn't tell anybody, to be fair. So I have to ask you now, what is your immediate thoughts on Nick Rose to Calgary?
Yeah, I mean, when you think Nick Rose, you don't think Calgary. You just automatically picture him in that Toronto Rock uniform. He's been there, 12 years, I think, maybe now. He's just one of those guys that you associate with the Rock. So we get to see him here in the summertime as well, and he's sort of wearing the Oakville Rock colors. So it'll look a little odd for him to be in the Calgary colors. But yeah, I mean, that was the rumor, and it turned out to be true. So we'll see. I think a change of scenery is sometimes good. Maybe that's what he needs. Maybe obviously Calgary looking for some veteran. I mean, the guy has been around, and Nick is, I think he's, if I'm not mistaken, I know Toronto's struggling to win games this year, but save wise, he's right up. He's made a lot of stops this year. So that's what Calgary needs. That's what they got.
That's true. And I mean, they fixed their biggest issue, but not sure it pushes them over the top, but it's still awesome to see. I'm excited to see the challenge for Nick Rose, because now there is a lot of more expectations, kind of like the Rock had before the health scare stuff started happening.
Yeah, you know what, and it's going to be different. A little bit more travel for Nick now. I mean, playing your home games in Calgary, and he's sort of an Orangeville guy. He's going to be on the bird a bit more often than not. A little less car rides and more plane rides for him, and maybe that's a good thing. Maybe he's a busy guy. He's running a lacrosse team. He's running the Rock facility. I think he's doing a lot. Maybe getting on a plane, having an extra night at a hotel as a goalie. Maybe that's not a bad thing. He can focus a bit more on the task at hand.
So more news just because it's happening now.
Yeah.
Adam Levy says the Wings are getting Mitch Desnew, Chris Corbeil and Shane Simpson. Holden Tony's going to Las Vegas. I'm not sure what the Rock get out of that deal. Maybe some picks. But wow, now the Wings are getting better.
Yeah, well, they need to do something there. I mean, they got off to such a great start, as you know, and then have struggled here in February and a little bit of January. So looking to shake things up there. I don't know. I haven't heard anything. I know Holden Cattoni pretty well, but haven't heard any rumors regarding that. It's first I heard it when you broke it there a couple minutes ago. So yeah, the three-way. I always get confused on three-way deals. I have to kind of write them down to kind of figure them out as to, okay, what's happening here, but. Maybe all three of those teams need to shake things up a little bit. And again, maybe a change of scenery is not a bad thing.
So let's get to our regular scheduled programming here. I appreciate you improvising like that. You're a professional, but we're gonna.
Yeah, again, I'm not an insider. I told you that ahead of time. Pat Gregoire,
down.
Mackie Jenner, they're insiders. I'm an outsider.
Well, I mean, yeah, I feel that, bro. No. Okay, so let's talk Halifax, Ottawa. I believe you told me you were at that game. You're also a Thunderbirds play-by-play guy. So tell me how Halifax was able to settle back down the Black Bears offense and able to win that game in Ottawa.
Yeah, so I went down. I had no working assignment to do. That it was a TSN game of the week, and Matt and Pat had it. But my son actually bought season tickets to the Ottawa Black Bears games this year. I think he's a Halifax guy, like number one, but it's a lot cheaper to drive to Ottawa. So he actually, when they came on board, I guess it was just over a year ago, right? That was announced that Ottawa was getting a team. Yeah. And he's kind of an Ottawa Senators fan. He's a lacrosse fan. So he bought season tickets to the Black Bears. He doesn't go to a lot of the games. He wanted to go to the home opener. He wanted to go to Halifax game. So we drove down, picked up my buddy Scott Arnold, who helps us out sometimes on the Halifax broadcast. And we just made a road trip out of it as a fan and went down. And, you know, a good lacrosse game. You know, it was a big one. I think both teams were 5-4 maybe going into that one. So, you know, it was a big 2 points up for grabs, and Halifax got off to a good start on the old hidden ball trick, which I'm sure you saw. Nice. It kind of fooled me. I was at the other end, as they say, just kind of watching in Club Bell, which is a good spot to watch a game. Any you Ottawa fans, if you can score Club Bell tickets, food, your drink, everything is included. That's the way to watch a lacrosse game if you're not working one, you know. So yeah, it's a good way to go. So, it kind of fooled me a little bit, but they got off to a good start. They had a bad third quarter, Halifax, which sometimes they can do the odd time. And then I think they outscored Ottawa, 5-1 in the fourth quarter, just kind of shut down Teat and some Sundown and a couple others, and just played really hard defense. And Wiz got pretty hot on the draws. And Terafenko, again, he's just lighting it up now. And, of course, he went on to score another empty net goal. Fun fact, he kind of practices scoring empty net goals in shoot-around. Awesome. So turns out practice makes perfect, because I think he scored 3 in a row now, empty netters, in their last 3 wins. So that's a fun fact for you. I saw that somewhere. I didn't come up with that. I saw it somewhere. But, it was a good lacrosse game, Michael. It was, Ottawa, I think the crowd was just under 6,000, and the lower bowl was quite full, and they're starting to really get into the game down there. And it's a good spot. So if you're anywhere in Eastern Ontario, Quebec, maybe on the other side of the border down to the States, it's worth the price to get across. They treat you really well there. The staff, the environment in Ottawa, it's very fan friendly, and it's just a good night out there in the nation's capital.
I love it. And, yeah, 54-42 according to the official reporting. Yeah. I don't know, those are always fun to analyze those numbers. But yeah, I it's better than the Riptide, and it sucks for Long Island fans, but it's good that they got the NHL backing, which is just awesome to see. As far as the Thunderbirds are concerned, their season, they've gotten hot recently, and that could rest and die on the back of Warren Hill. They're hopefully going to get Tyson Bell back in a few weeks here. What has been the biggest reasons for success for them, and what have you seen kind of be their downfall at times?
Yeah, they got out to an 0-3 start. I think if you ask Micah Kersey, he would say they probably should have won 2 of those. That's lacrosse, and you win some late ones, and they had some high-scoring ones there. They lost a tough one early to Calgary. They could easily maybe even be in second place right now, but that's could have, would have, should have. All teams could do that. So get off to a slow start. I think for the first time since they moved to Halifax, people were starting to, some fans down there like, what's going on here? This is not the Halifax Thunderbirds team we're used to. They usually get off to pretty good starts. But, they just started playing as a team. Warren, for sure, just was a bit more consistent. I don't know if that Rochester game where they put in Hutchison, that high-scoring, crazy game, and they won that one, and whether that was just a small thing with Warren to go, oh, hey, you know what? Not that he was trying to play bad on purpose, but maybe watching a full game for the bench or whatever, he thought, okay, I gotta step it up a notch. I don't know, but it seemed to be a turning point because they have been really good, and he's been really good pretty much since then. Late in that Vancouver game, I wasn't at that game, but watching it on TSN and the couple saves he made at the end, and one was off his punch, I think. it was sensational. And I saw a look in his face after making those couple saves where it's like, okay, not only is he dialed in, he's in it to win it. He is that just seemed to be a bit of a turning point, and they haven't lost since. So that's been a big reason. We mentioned Tarasenko. Ryan's been unbelievable. He's just hat tricks and just empty net goals and coming up big. And Jake Withers doing what he does, and some unsung heroes on the back end like Colton Armstrong. We talk about the Randy Stotts all the time and the jammers and the guys up front, Thomas Hogarth, but it's really the guys on the back end sometimes that are winning those games. Graham Hossick, of course. I mean,
he's nuts.
That they're not quietly go about their business, but they don't get all the fanfare sometimes. But those are the guys that will often win you games that go unnoticed.
With Halifax, I know, like, again, you're not an insider here, but how important is this to Micah Kersey for them to be successful this year, even like make the playoffs? So how important is that for him for job security from your perspective in Halifax?
I think Mike's pretty secure there. I think he's got a great relationship with Kurt and everyone there, and he's been there since day one. I think sometimes maybe it gets mentioned too much. I don't know, but I see it. They are a very family orientated sort of group, and they have each other's back. So I don't see, any major changes there. I mean, had he gone 0-6, maybe we would be talking differently. I'm sure he's feeling a little better now. Right. But I think the most important thing to answer your question is to get a home playoff game in Halifax. It's not crucial, but it's, maybe with Toronto out of the way, finally, I'm not writing them off by any means, but it's not looking good. They've sort of been that thorn a little bit for Halifax since they moved there, and they've snagged that home game. They've won that home game. It's been a tough task for Halifax to steal one in Hamilton or wherever they were playing previous. So a home game in Halifax, and I don't know, Stephen Keogh tweeted something this week, I believe, about if Halifax were to host a playoff game this year, that they would win it all. So I don't know if that was a legit tweet or not. I guess so. I don't know. But I just think the building would be electric. I think they'd be very tough to beat at home, as any team is in the playoffs with a home crowd behind you. So right now it's looking good. They just gotta pick up a win here in Las Vegas this weekend and keep that winning streak alive. And a playoff home game in Halifax would be fantastic. I would love it.
No, I agree with that. So I part of we were going to get to is Rochester and Albany. I'll kind of combine those two for the sake of time here.
Sure.
So you've seen them both, Rochester and Albany. Obviously, I believe Rochester's got, like, they played Halifax twice. So
back,
obviously, Albany's 3-8, but Rochester's 5-7 right now. Rochester got a big win in Calgary. Albany just got a big win against the Wings. And even when they played the Thunderbirds, which of those two teams were you like, they have so much potential to be good, and which one were you like, eh?
Yeah, no disrespect to Albany. I mean, they got Ethan Walker, who's having a great year, and some other big weapons that, and Jameson and Net, who can steal you a game at any given time. I think Rochester has maybe a little bit more depth. I mean, their win the other night was huge. I mean, that's, and they've been busy. I don't think they've had a bye week yet. They have really had a tough starts to the season. So I think a rest for them might not be too bad here coming up, but I think they're pretty deep. I think, if they can get their goaltending consistent, I suppose, they got some weapons up front, and they got some tough dudes on the back end. So Mike Hazens is as good as you're going to get. He coaches here in Peterborough, so maybe I'm a little biased there, full disclosure. But, he has won a lot of Man Cups here, so he knows how to coach championship teams. He knows how to handle teams that have a lot of talent and how to spread that out and maybe work with egos perhaps as well. I'm not saying there is any there in Rochester, but I think he can manage that pretty good. So, I think there's potential there. I mean, they got to get on a roll here. They can't lose too many more. That's for sure.
It's amazing. I'm glad you mentioned Peterborough, by the way. And so you are Peterborough Lakers alum. I believe you told me Tracy Kelusky.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know Tracy. I've known Tracy since he was about 16 years old. Um, I played a few
Amazing.
games with Tracy back in junior, and he was just, as I say, he was only 15 or 16 at the time, and I would have been sort of aging out at 20, I suppose, at that time. I think there's about a 5-year gap between us. So certainly I've had a chance to play a few games with him. That was years ago. John Grant Jr. was on that team. Obviously, he was our
Wow.
best player as a 16-year-old. So
That's crazy.
um, I had a front row seat watching those guys come up and being able to watch most of their careers. So lucky enough to grow up not far from them. And TK is just a solid guy. He actually, I don't know if you know this or not, but Tracy took up lacrosse really late in terms of,
Really?
yeah, like Peterborough being such a hotbed of lacrosse here. If you don't have a lacrosse stick in your hands by 3 or 4, you're considered a sort of someone that's taking up the game late. But he actually didn't start playing until he was about 14 or 15 because of John Grant Jr., because of Junior's dad, John Grant Sr., who's a legend in his own right. And they finally convinced him. I think he played soccer growing up, maybe. He was a heck of a hockey player too, but they finally got a stick in his hands for real, and he never looked back. I mean, I think Mark Stainhouse was like that too. I think he picked up the game like really late. And it's ironic because they're both about the same size. They both played kind of a similar sort of game. But yeah, Tracy, doing well there in Philadelphia. That was, you talk about some of the pickups that the Wings got through the expansion draft and such. Their biggest win may have been, getting Tracy Kelusky back there
Yeah.
on the bench.
And one of the things I was going to go with Koleski on that, and I love the backstory there, by the way. Tracy, like, I compared the Panther City team to, rest in peace, I compared that team to the Miami Heats, like, watching them play. Like, just so well coached. Like, no one did anything awesome. They all did everything really, really good. And that, to me, can win you a lot of games in any sport. Why is he such a good coach? And were you able to tell, even like from an early age, that this guy could be a coach, or like what makes him special?
Yeah, from an early age, he was coaching from playing. I mean, when you go out there and you see that in Cody Jamieson a little bit, right? Like Cody is almost like a coach out on the floor when it comes to if you don't have time for a timeout or whatever the situation may be. Tracy's a lot like that too, right? And he sort of always has been. He's kind of like a student of the game. He lives it and breathes it, and that's his life basically, right? So, and the fact that he's been there, he's won championships, he's in the Hall of Fame. So when you have someone in the room or behind the bench that has that kind of background, you tend to respect them and tend to kind of buy into what they're selling. It's not a hard sell when Tracy is sort of leading the way. So. Another fun fact for you got to look this up after the show, Michael, but Google Tracy Kelusky and Bobby Roode, the wrestler, on YouTube, and you'll find a fantastic piece of video when Tracy got into the ring with Bobby Roode, his buddy, at the WWE. So Google that when you get a chance, because it's pretty funny stuff.
That's good lacrosse promotion, actually. That's awesome.
And Bobby Roode, I don't know if you're a big wrestling fan or not, or remember
Not him.
Bobby Roode. But his son is a great lacrosse player and probably coming up in the NLL draft. And I don't know when his draft year is, this year or next year. But he goes to Michigan right now and is a great box player as well. So watch for the name Nick Roode.
Oh, hey, that's amazing. Like I said, like I go back about as far back as Triple H, but I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, look it up, man.
One more thing I want to talk about here. You mentioned, the Philadelphia Wings. You said the 1975 Wings. Am I correct?
Yeah. So for anyone that may remember, the original National Lacrosse League was a 2-year league. It started in '74, and then they played again in '75. And they played like a full season. Like they played like guys lived there pretty much full time. They played like well over 40 games, like almost maybe more than that. So like they were, it was more than an 18-game sort of season. So a lot of the Peterborough guys from all over went down to Philadelphia, played for the original Philadelphia Wings. They had more red uniforms, but the logo was kind of similar. And so they're having a reunion against they're hosting Albany in a couple of weeks. I think it's March 8th, I want to say, 6th or the 8th. Whenever the Wings host Albany, they're having a bit of reunion for those 75 guys, 50 years since they played. So You'll see guys like John Grant Sr., Carm Collins, Pete Gear, Bob Goulding. And so another interesting fact, this is how times have changed. So the rule back then is, because 90% of the players, box lacrosse players back then, were Canadian, there was a rule that each team had to have 2 Americans on the roster, and and they had to dress one of them. Now that's not a problem, as we know. It's
right.
It's come such a long way, and there's so many great American players. But that was kind of the rule back then. It was a rough league, man. It was not that it's not now, but they're using wooden sticks. They were playing both ways, offense and defense. It was wild stuff. But the boys are going back to Philadelphia in a couple weeks for that Albany game, and they'll be introduced on the floor. It should be a good night.
Was there a good attendance in those games? You remember?
I think so. I think I do know the Philadelphia Wings played their very first game on the same day that the Philadelphia Flyers won the 1974 Stanley Cup. It was crazy. Like, they literally, it was an afternoon game. They cleared everyone out. Everyone was celebrating. Then they put the floor down, whatever that was like in 74. It could have been a wooden floor for all I know. And they, I think they drew pretty well, because it's Philadelphia. Like, Philadelphia drew well. Maryland had a team. Boston, I think, had a team. Rochester won the league one year. I think he needed 74. So
all they do is win championships.
Yeah, right. They started early.
That's amazing. Well, I appreciate the history. I appreciate you on the fly reacting to the NLL blockbusters going on.
Yeah.
I appreciate the Thunderbirds insight. Wow, what a great day to be on the show today.
Well, and I appreciate getting the nod last week with the beating out Patrick and Mackie there for the outfits. That was nice. A coincidence, especially the turtlenecks, but it seemed to work, and here we are. Wait till St. Patrick's Day. I got something up my sleeve maybe for St. Patrick's Day. We'll see.
Oh, and where's the next game you do, by the way?
I'll be back March 14th. Is my next one back in Halifax. So the lads are out in Vegas this weekend. That'll be fun, I'm sure. That's a road trip I wish I was going on, but probably safer I stay here in Peterborough.
Jeez. Well, hey, and we appreciate you again, Pete. It was great to meet you in on camera. I guess,
for sure.
It's 2025. What am I talking about? But thank you again, and enjoy your next calls and enjoy the NLL season. We'll have you on before the end of the season.
Sounds good. Thanks, Michael. Have a great day, man.
Thank you. Pete Dalliday, everybody, at Pete Dalliday on Twitter. Hey, that was a lot in one interview, and you can thank Pete Dalliday for that. Was awesome. That was on the fly, raw stuff, and we got it all. So we appreciate him. Hey, when we come back, you thought we forgot about that it's Tuesday and that fresh fits were a thing? We didn't. We're right back. Daily Dive. Don't go on air. We'll wrap it up next.
Don't go anywhere. Daily Dive will be right back.
You need tickets to that next event? We've got them. That's right, tickets.12ozsports.com. Get you to any sporting event, concert, theater event that you can think of. And the promo code 12OZ or ROME gets you an additional discount. Don't feed the massive ticket corporate machine. Go to tickets.12ozsports.com and enjoy the show. America, get back on track with Dust Pods Performance Stabilizer. When applied to roadways, it kills dust and strengthens the integrity of the road. Easily applied by mixing with water. Dust Pods is the future. and polymer stabilization. Call 1-833-DustPods or visit dustpods.com today.
Daily Dive is back in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Reminder that when this show is over and you're getting your tickets to the next game, buy your tickets for less at tickets.12ouncesports.com. Tickets.numbers12letters.ozsports.com. You won't regret seeing things live, knowing you got your tickets for a great price. You can also check the description of this YouTube video, and you can see, click the link there as well. All right, it's time for Fresh Fits, the best dressed NLL players in Week 13 based on the team's walk-ins that they posted. Here we go. Okay, Elijah Gash, listen, the benefit of being a good-looking dude, but this is like his Josh Byrne look. I feel like Taylor Jensen, Elijah Gash, and Josh Byrne are like the same person. It feels like just like they're made in the same lab, and I don't know what that lab is called. I obviously was not made in that lab. They were. But Taylor Jensen was looking fly. He pulled his earphone back and said, "Yeah, you want to take a picture? I got you. All right." That's enough. Landon Cows. Tough little screenshot here. It was a video from the Las Vegas Desert Dogs, but Landon Cows is like a nice plaid. I wish I could zoom in on that shirt and make it look good, but I couldn't, so you'll have to take my word for it. But yeah. Jake Bassino, Rochester Nighthawks with like 17 chains on one neck. That will get you a Fresh Fits nominee for your team. Reminder that I'm getting so many notifications right now. Reminder that the best dressed players for each team, the ones with the most nominees at the end of the year, you get to vote on them for the Fresh Fits champion. Eli Gobrach for the San Diego Seals, representing Team Canada for beating, you get it. It was a 4 nations face-off. 1 nation won. It wasn't U.S. Okay. Dylan Ward of the Colorado Mammoth. Wow. I don't think I've ever seen Dylan Ward dressed this good before. He probably has, but you guys know I love the white contrast with like whatever their primary color is. Just amazing stuff there for Dylan Ward. Connor O'Toole, you dog you. Vancouver Warriors, that'll work for superhero night. Pow, pop, zam, whiz, bazing. You okay? The comic book tie, yeah, that'll fly. That will definitely fly for Connor O'Toole. Backup goalie, by the way. One of them backup goalies. Pow! Curtis Dixon. Unfortunately, this pose and this outfit was not enough to get him the nominee for the Roughnecks because, yeah, Justin Anasio, who's a very good face-off guy, this is good. It's a cowboy hat. And plus he's got the denim, so that also works. Listen, you ain't always got to be a cowboy on country night. You can do other things. And this redneck trucker type deal for Justin Anasio, come on, man. That actually, I'm not a cowboy hats guy. I would wear this hat. Does that make me a cowboy hat guy? You decide. And finally, Dane Smith. And I chose this because I wanted to do a little game here. How many buttons did Dane Smith unbutton? Let's see here. A 1, 2, a 3. The world may never know. It's like going to the center like a Tootsie Pop, but that also is a weird comparison at this point in time. Okay, whatever. I'm not even going to go there. Dane Smith, always dressing well. Like, sometimes I have to see, like, you guys, his teammates have, like, they have got to be so jealous of Dane and Josh Byrne. I mean, okay, maybe they're not, but it's like, if you want to win Fresh Fits, man, that's a tall task to overcome with Josh and Dane on your team. And also, like, I feel like the wardrobe hates to see them coming. I don't know. Yeah. That's a lot of news, a lot of reactions, a lot of stuff today. What a great show, I feel like. I also wore the Toronto Rock shirt from Fanatics, so just for giggles. Yeah, so a lot of stuff going on in the lacrosse world, which I love. I'm not saying I like guys being traded all the time, but It is cool when this stuff kind of like comes across the wire because it makes for great content and it makes for good league stories. But ultimately, these teams are trying to get better. But anyways, be sure to follow us at Daily Dive LAX on social media and to check out our other great content. You can also check out our merchandise by visiting the link tree in our social media bios or by going to dailydivelacks.creator-spring.com. I want to say thank you again to everyone that watches this show. Reminder that you are the bread, you are the butter, you are the pow to Mike Curtis Dixon. For everyone that comes to the show as a guest, like Pete Dalliday today, like Adam Levy tomorrow for mid-season report cards, and of course those that come and those in the past. Thank you all for sharing your platform with us, giving us validity and relevance. I am your host, Michael Carvel, saying have a great rest of your day. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place, 12 on Sports on YouTube and more. This has been Daily Dive. Have a great day.
Thanks for watching Daily Dive. See you next time.